I am now calling the Historical Commission of Lower Makefield March 11th meeting to order. In attendance is Monica, myself, Cathy, Tom, Helen, and Dave. Absent are Joe and Jeff. Colin, our liaison, is also absent as he is out of the country. I do have a message for you from him. And online with us are staff Dan and Jim Majewski. So let's approve the minutes, and then we're going to jump in and let Dan do his presentation. Did everybody review the minutes? Is there a motion to any changes? Is there a motion to approve the February minutes?
I move to approve the February minutes.
Monica moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Dave seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Wasn't here.
Tom's abstaining because he wasn't here. All right, we're going to skip announcements and upcoming events. We can come back to that later if need be. So our first order of new business is a presentation from the LMT staff on the permitting process, particularly around the demolition. So I'm going to turn it over to Dan. And thank you for coming.
Yeah,
And
no
Jim.
problem. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me. So yeah, I'm Dan McLuhan. I'm a planner with the township. I do all the zoning permits. So first thing you'd want to do is if you're looking to do a full demolition or a partial demolition, you would need to first off file a permit anywhere in the township. Doesn't matter how it's zoned. You would file it on OpenGov, which is the permitting and licensing system for the township. You'd go to lmt.org, you'd click on online permitting, and then you would fill out the UCC building permit. So typically, the contractor would provide a summary of work for the project, including the construction costs. Some essential things that they would need to do that are important for demolition. They would need to cap the sewer lateral to make sure there's no improper flow. They would need to disconnect all the utilities, such as water, sewer, gas, and electric. There would also need to be a PA1 call to find and measure all utilities, just so that they can kind of mark everything, flag all the stuff that's important. And then, so I'm gonna get later to the historical commercial district, but if it's not within the historic commercial district, typically if the plans are submitted correctly and they're agreeable to doing all those things, we would issue a building permit and they could do the work, since there's technically nothing codified that prohibits homeowners from demolishing homes or structures. And then either Mike Kirk, who is the BCO for the township, or an inspector from Barry Iset, who's our inspection company, they would do an inspection just to make sure that all the work was done correctly. And then if the property is located in the historic commercial district, they need a certificate of appropriateness. So typically, the way it works in OpenGov is the certain districts are and certain things that are in the floodplain are flagged. So township staff are notified if the property in question is in the HC district. So there'd kind of be a little bit more attention paid to that. I would typically kind of coordinate with Mike Kirk if there was, a demolition that was being done, or even something as small as like a sign permit in the HC district. It needs to go in front of HARB. And then HARB, which is a committee like you guys, would review the plans, and if they deem appropriate, they would issue a certificate of appropriateness. Then HARB would send the certificate of appropriateness to place it on a Board of Supervisors agenda. And then if the board deems fit, they would, issue a certificate of appropriateness and say that they could do the work. But yeah, essentially there's not much codified to prevent demolition. I know that you guys in the past have worked on, demolition ordinances and stuff like that. But typically in general, if we find a property is very historic, or there's some historic nature to it, we would attempt to work with the property owner for potential reuse. And oftentimes I know Joe and Cathy and other members of the historical commission have asked them if they can take pictures just for documenting. But that's pretty much it. Happy to, me and Jim can answer any questions.
Yeah, I have a few questions. So how long, in the most simplified form, which is I think what you said to us, is like, how long does it take the whole process from beginning to end? They come into the off, or they fill it out on open.gov and then you guys approve it.
Sure. So for PA law, I think for zoning and building permits or for building permits, there's 15 business days that the township needs to render a decision. Now, that just means essentially that the township either needs to approve it, put it on hold or reject it. So in essence, at most it's, 15 business days, which is roughly 21 days. It can take longer if it's put on hold or rejected, if they need more information from the contractor. But typically for a demolition permit or, permits that aren't too lengthy, it doesn't take the full 15 business days. I would say maybe a week at most. Our inspectors are really good at reviewing permits. They're very on top of the game. So yeah, it doesn't take too long.
So yeah, that's interesting to me. And I think probably what I'm thinking of that maybe made things different is, do people often do like a demolition permit as part of a larger development, like Wright Farm or something? How did that all play out? Because I mean, I think I'm looking for us to maybe become involved earlier, but 15 days
Sure.
is.
Yeah, no problem. So to be honest, we don't get too many demolition permits, but to your point, like the Wright Farm, which is now called, I believe, Oakvale at Yardley, it's a Toll Brothers subdivision now. They did file like they did file a demolition permit, and that took a lot more, not a lot more, but it took a little bit more time to review. I think we even got like the fire inspector, or excuse me, the fire marshal slash fire services director, Tim Chamberlain, involved just to make sure everything was done right with the utilities and stuff. Um, and then, that's probably like the largest scale type demolition you would see in the township for like a subdivision. Typically, they're more smaller scale. I would say the most common demolition permit is for like a pool. Like people are just, demolishing the concrete for a pool to get a new one. Um, I we don't really get too many demolition permits for homes. But yeah, it would that the process I described earlier, that would kind of be applicable to homes and stuff.
Cathy, Jim Majewski here. If I just might add, for a project like the Wright Farm, one of the things we do for a land development or subdivision is forward it to the Historical Commission for comments.
Yeah.
And I believe one of the comments that came out of your Historical Commission for that was that you'd like to photo document the property, which DeLuca Homes, who had owned the property at that time, did allow members of the Historical Commission to go through, photograph the building to see if there was anything they thought worthy of saving there. I know the farmer, Doug Wright, had worked with some other farmers who wanted some of the wood from the barns, so they repurposed some of that wood. And I know the demolition contractor was eyeing up some of the beams that were in the barns to try to reuse those. So, we did have the opportunity to photo document that, as well as a few other properties in the recent past. The house, the stone house on the former quarry, Gray Nun Academy property, that was photo documented before its demolition. And also the house on Mill Road, we documented. And I believe a few of the members here were present when we looked at a house on River Road that
Yep.
Someone was contemplating demolishing, but as it worked out, the ultimate property owner has decided to renovate the home rather than demolish it, which is a good turn of events.
Thanks, Jim. I think Tom has a question.
Yeah, I apologize. I've been away for a few months, so you might have gone over this in the past. But are we distinguishing between a home that's owned by a private person and a developer that wants to come in where there is a historic building?
No, I don't think there's too much difference. I mean, to Jim's point, like if it's a developer, that's typically a larger scale, so we would probably work with them to take photos and stuff like that. But in terms of permitting, it's kind of treated similarly.
So the best example I can give you is Prickett Farm. So that developer could have torn down that farmhouse?
No, I mean that you mean Prickett Preserve on Stony Hill Road?
Yeah.
No, I mean that went under like in pretty intense. I mean, I think it was more of a I wasn't there when that I wasn't working with the township when this happened, but to my understanding was a condition of the approval for that mixed use site was to not knock down some of the historic structures. So like LaGrange, the French restaurant, they kind of incorporated some of the historic features there. And then that existing farmhouse, which is along the frontage of Stony Hill Road, I believe part of a stipulation or a condition of the approval for the subdivision was to kind of refurbish it. And I know like, typically when developers are coming before the township, sometimes they're asking for a lot. So oftentimes the township in turn, as long as it's, in accordance with the law and as long as it's reasonable, the township can kind of place, realistic conditions on certain subdivisions, which I think was the case with Prickett Preserve.
So you handle these on a case by case basis. There's no sort of ordinance or anything.
Correct.
Pardon me for butting in, but they very well could have torn down that house. I mean, there's no law that says you must keep old properties. It's a
Correct.
stipulation of the sale or the owner's desire that certain things get kept. So that's how that turned out. That's why that house and barn are
Yeah.
still there.
No, you're completely correct. There's nothing really that codifies them from not doing that. I think that was just sort of an agreement between the township and the developer. But realistically, there's nothing sort of codified that, besides certain stuff in the HC district
It's protected.
that protects it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like in that situation, it was sort of the will of the township and whoever was running it and on the board at that point to become more involved in it. Because my understanding is Har became involved in it, even though it's not in their territory, but that they gave a lot of feedback.
They, because it was going to be commercial and so close to the Harb district, they agreed to look at it. It was actually this commission that said no, 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 no. And that's one of our functions, basically, to inform township personnel and the supervisors of what historic fabric we feel after a study deserve to be preserved. And often, the owner disagrees and there's nothing we can do about it except watch it go down. Possibly ask them if we can take pictures. And at some point we had ability to go in and actually do movies of the demolition. I know the Robert Palmer House, we did that. Jeff Marshall came down from the Heritage Conservancy and made a movie of it. I don't know what actually happened to the movie,
Yeah.
but that particular house. And over the years, the negotiation before the development advances too far is really critical, because obviously, if a developer buys a piece of land and it has a historic property on it, they don't want to spend a lot of money in engineering and creating streets and doing all that work and then have, basically the township say, no, you can't take it down. So it makes sense on both ends of the scale to have a negotiation, and the more we can do that and are aware of what's coming in from your office, the better it is.
Understood.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I mean, I think we were Joe was very curious about this process because he never felt he fully understood it. But I think our other motivation for having you here this evening is Colin asked us to see if there was any administrative changes that could be made. What I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm hearing this wrong, is that basically with a private owner, it's 15 days. You know, you could shoot us an email, but there's probably not a heck of a lot we can do. But if it's part of a bigger development, I would love to see if there was a way to codify us. You know, last year we came up, and I know you know this because you did the map for us,
Yeah.
that like about 100 properties
Mhm.
that we deemed very significant, that if anything got filed on them, if we became involved early in the process, then maybe we could give earlier feedback and also attend planning, zoning, whatever other variance meetings would be happening around that. That seems like the place where we might be able to do that.
Yeah, agreed. You guys would need to, you know, sort of, and obviously we can work in tandem with you, but there would need to be some sort of discussion to make some sort of legislative changes to the ordinance, and then ultimately it would be up to the Board of Supervisors if they wanted to implement it.
So for you to kind of notify us earlier in the administrative process when they're filing for, you know, a demolition development, I think we're talking mostly more about developments here, that would also need to be codified in an
No.
ordinance?
No, not necessarily. That could be more of an internal thing. I'll have to talk to, you know, Jim and Dave about how we would do that. But I'm sure there's something on OpenGov that could kind of give us, you know, kind of a ping or something like for a demolition ordinance for a larger scale to kind of notify you guys.
Mhm.
Um,
And we do have in our subdivision and land development ordinance, it is codified that all plans for subdivisions or land developments need to be sent to the historical commission for input.
yes.
And over the years, we've received various input, such as no objection, or this is near something historic, they should keep that in mind, or there's a resource on the property that they're interested in preserving or looking into or even documenting. And I think it's worked out well for the most part over the years.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, my experience, and I've only been on the commission a few years, is that it feels like, you know, but and for whatever reason, a lot of the times we got in very late in the game. And when you come in late in the game, you can't influence much. So I think we're just looking to come in a little earlier. So yeah, I mean, we can follow up with you. I think Jeff and Joe agreed to kind of come up with some recommendations that they were going to bring next month for us to review, to then ask Dave if those things would be a possibility. You have another question, Helen?
No, the other issue is perhaps we can come up with some suggestions of ways to specify what particularly the Historic Commission is going to be doing with your plans in terms of we wish to see the location of historic structures on one of those plans. Usually that existing conditions is one of the plans, but make sure that that's there. And then the way that the Wright Farm went down, which was really pretty interesting, is that they knew that that was coming in advance, and they actually hired a consultant to do the historic trace of the house so that they could then hold up that it really isn't that significant and it isn't a great example, and therefore we should cave on letting them tear it down, which was, again, as a commission, we don't want to be look like we don't know what's going on. And unless we, you know, and we took a lot of flack from that tear down because people weren't informed that there was going to be a development and felt that they hadn't been represented properly. So we actually took a lot of comment from members of the public. Why did you let them do that? Why couldn't you save that? And, you know, all that kind of thing. So the more you can help us, the better it will be for the development as well.
Thanks, Helen. While we have you online, Dan and Jim, I know I mentioned this to you, Dan, is that another potential tool that has been mentioned to us that I do know is legislative, but I would like a little understanding of for the group here is some sort of overlays Could you kind of dummy that down and explain it to those of us don't necessarily understand it very well? Me.
Yes, it's like overlay zoning is essentially supplemental zoning, a supplemental zoning district that you add to a base zoning district for something that needs like specific care or interest to. Um, so yeah, like I'm trying to think of an example. Like we have the TND, um, you know, it kind of depends. Like some, I mean, it's not really like applicable here, but like I know in New York and Philly, sometimes they have like inclusionary zoning for housing to the X amount of units need to be put aside for a certain rate of the area median income. So essentially, you're just adding supplemental zoning regulations to a specific district to kind of achieve a goal and kind of be able to regulate it for a certain desire. Um,
So hypothetically, and this is all hypothetical, but like if we were looking at like a river road, because we know that there's a bunch of historic homes there. So if there was to be a river road historic overlay created, what would be the process to get that created? Does it start with zoning? Does it start with the BOS?
Excuse me, sorry. I think there would just be like a rezoning process. There'd probably be sort of like some public engagement in the beginning. But I'm not particularly too sure. That hasn't really happened since I've been here. Um,
Yeah, if I may, one of the difficulties with an overlay, we did the Edgewood Village Historic District, which was sort of a concentrated area where there were a number of resources. But since Lower Makefield developed as a farming community, the resources that we have are spread throughout the township. They're not localized in any one area. And that's where it becomes a little problematic to do an overlay. Your overlay would essentially be the entire township, which is, I think, one of the reasons why the Historical Commission was looking into the ordinance, the demolition ordinance that you had proposed earlier.
Yeah, agreed.
We have in the past tried to do an overlay for Edge Hill Gardens, which was the first development passed by the planning board in Bucks County for Lower Makefield Township. And it was all done in the 1920, between 1920 and 1928. And they're basically newly built houses for that period, but with colonial structures and so it was designed. There's an English cottage. It was multiple designs of individual houses, but it's all shown on a plan somewhere. So the neighbor there were a bunch of neighbors that gotten together and wanted to have Edge Hill Gardens made into an overlay district, as they felt it would improve their property values. They're very close to Mooresville. And we agreed with that. But I guess the Board of Supervisors set a condition that they had to get at least, I forget what the number was. I think it was like 70% of the homeowners to sign off that they would be included in the historic district. And at that point, they would agree to it. And unfortunately, when the Edge Hill Garden group went around and talked to the neighbors, they got a lot of pushback from people who said, "Oh, I don't want to have regulations on the facade of my house because I may want to add an addition, and now I'm going to have to go through all this extra red tape, and I don't want to do that." So it failed. I'm just giving you that history.
Yeah, I mean, I know that was mentioned in the 2019 master plan for LMT in our section, that looking at overlays such as for there. So that's why I just wanted to kind of understand what that would mean and what was going on. So we understand all our tools or lack of tools.
Yeah, they can definitely be like if they're utilized right, they can definitely be a good tool. But to Helen's point, sometimes you need buy-in and just you just need to engage the community, and it can be an arduous process, but if it's done right, it can be an effective tool.
Absolutely. Does anyone have any additional questions for Dan or Jim? Okay. Thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about all this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for all the work you did for the township. Have a good night.
Thank
too.
you.
Okay.
It's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's helpful to know what the process is
Yeah.
and see what recommendations could be made. But I think they're also clear that without legislative anything, that there's not a lot we can do.
So just to make sure I understand. With regards to a development, if the developer wants to demolish an historic building, they can.
Correct. I think what he was saying for like the example of Prickett, that was a big, massive development. They had a lot of asks. So the township felt that there was a little leverage to ask them to protect those buildings, but there is nothing legislatively to say that any of that had to happen.
And that's because they can't or they won't.
Cantor won't what? I'm sorry.
Um, re, um, require that the developer preserve anything historic.
In order to require anything historic to be preserved, there would be have to be some sort of an ordinance, whether it would be the overlay or the demolition ordinance, or maybe there's other ordinances I'm not aware of. But in order to require people to do certain things, it needs to be our law.
Right. And that is not a law because they don't think they can or they don't want to.
You would have to ask the Board of Supervisors that.
I mean, the developer submits a plan and a permit, and that plan and permit needs to get approved by the township.
Correct.
And it seemed to me it would be quite easy to say, okay, but you need to comply with everything else in the permit. You need to comply with this, which is to preserve this historic building. I mean, it doesn't seem like a huge ask.
They used to do that, Tom, and there was one supervisor in particular who just deal after deal with developers to, we'll give you a couple more lots if you do this, made those kinds of suggestions and managed to save quite a few houses in the township. But she's no longer with us, so other than lobbying the existing supervisors and trying to get them to take that stance, just be aware that a historic building should at least be documented. They're really, Pennsylvania, because it's Quaker state, has private property paramount. That, that is the most important thing. So sadly, I mean, or gladly, depending on how you're looking at it, you can do whatever you wish with your public property. In this township, we have examples of what I call facadectomies, where just the facade of the house has been saved. And we have total tear downs, and we have people who have beautifully taken stuff off to reveal old houses. You're going to get, what you get.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like if I want to do something at my house and I put in for a permit, if like the last permit I put in for, it was like, the impervious surface. So like if I had been within the requirements, there would have, I could have just done it. If I'm not in the requirements, then they would have had to send me over to zoning for a variance. Yeah. So, I mean, if there's no rule to deny it, then as Dan said, he has to basically approve it in 15 days. And that would be more for an individual. I think most of the ones we're seeing are developers coming in and then doing stuff like Prickett and Wright Farm.
And there are structures that are not in great shape, but reveal a lot of how a particular industry in Lower Makefield, I'm thinking particularly of a really amazing 3-story poultry facility that is dear to my heart. And it's falling down. And when that property is sold, that's going to be torn down, I would think. But, you know, to document it now before that happens would probably be a good step.
Well, we can't document a private property unless the private property
Well,
owner allows us to do it.
Yeah, so you get
Yeah.
permission to.
But I mean, I think that's also what the Historic Resource Survey is trying to do, is we did the first batch of them, and then we put in the request for the second batch of them. And actually, when I talked to Megan about it, like every house, even if they're in a development, will have a picture taken of it. All right, anything else on this? We can move on to the next. I mean, that's sort of C also, but the next thing is a historic commission protocol for using community foundation funds. So let me just give a brief overview. For the past whatever bunch of years, when we have raised money, mostly through the ghost tours, that has been put into community foundation fund. I think the money had kind of gotten forgotten until we found it again. I think there's somewhere around $15,000 in there right now. So that is separate from our township budget, which I think this year I asked for like $8,000 for our projects and stuff. So last month or the month before, we voted unanimously to use what was it, like about $3,000 from the Community Foundation to restore the 1858 Historic Hughes map. We had pursued grant funding first. We did not get grant funding. We thought it was a good use of the money. Joe brought up that it would probably behoove us to have some guidelines as to when we, us the commission, it has to be approved by the Community Foundation Board, ask for that money. So the parameters I was thinking of to at least start the discussion were that, one, we don't see an alternative to fund it. Like, we can't get the projects funded with grant money or township money. Obviously, it has to be historic. I don't know if there's other things we want to think about as far as what parameters and guidelines we want to put in place for when we use that money. Because, you know, we could just be like, ooh, 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 and then the money's gone.
I would suggest I agree, no alternative, and then it meets our mission of our three goals.
This is our mission.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, assists our mission of, and I was going to look up, I should know this off the top of my head, but
Of education.
educate,
Mhm.
preserve, and whatever the three are. You know, if we can say this does one of the three, two of the three, all of the three, I don't know what we decide, but
Mhm.
I think we just use our mission terminology to determine, does it meet that?
Okay. And is there any, because I'll draft something for the next meeting for us to vote on, but is there any other things people want to see in there? I mean, and also, I mean, this also came up because we don't have total control of the Community Foundation, and they're going to use some of that to pay for the Historic Resource Survey. But I think at least when we make a recommendation, we want to be clear on why we're making the recommendation. Okay. All right. So meet or assist in developing or supporting our three goals, and I would say no easy other funding. I don't think we need to apply for a grant and fail every time, but that there's not an ability to easily get additional funding.
Fundraising, I guess you could say, we could do fundraising in another way, but barring massive fundraising that we cannot achieve in the time span, yeah.
Agreed. Okay.
Yeah, well, maybe to reiterate that it has to be within the amount of money that we've put into the fund, which we've already fundraised for, right?
Yeah. I mean, essentially that is our fundraising.
Yeah,
But if we're
so-
going to start to spend it, then,
We wouldn't, I wouldn't be comfortable asking for more money than we've put in.
well, they wouldn't give it to us.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
That's clear. All right, cool. That was easy. I'll draft something for next month, for us to vote on. If anybody thinks of anything between now and then, just email me. C, I don't think we need to go into more. I think we sort of addressed it with the presentation, and I know that Jeff and Joe are going to come to us with some recommendations for us to, they're going to come to recommendations to the Historic Commission that we can recommend to the township about protecting the homes. And I did send you all, like, I don't know that you had seen the final report. So the township put together all of Jeff's stuff, all of our recommendations, and kind of made a whole packet that I sent to you all so that we could understand the 100 or so houses we wanted to protect, and that you would all have that list.
Plus, I think there were more. I mean, I saw houses that went up to 1930s, so that was on that list of Jeff's.
I think he had the full list of everything that was surveyed plus our recommendation.
Yeah, and he had Victor Humboldt's mansion, all that. He had added a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So it's very inclusive.
Good. Perfect. All right. Existing business updates. Community Foundation funded or discussed projects. The first, I did A's and B's and then, oh no, okay, whatever. Map restoration, Monica.
It's still on hold in the works. I have the map. I haven't gotten to Brooklyn yet in a car, but when I do, it will come with me. We've done the deposit the first half. So once it's restored, we'll pay the second half, but it will happen when I get to Brooklyn.
Fair point. He said we could ship it. So if it's going to become an obstacle.
Right. What's the first event we want to have it at?
I don't think we could make the first event if we're going to do an open house in May. There was no, I mean, it's 2 to 3 months work. So,
okay.
And I would be a little loath to bring it to the ghost tour because it's too valuable. Like, I would want to show it with the deeds, but neither of those would I bring to the ghost tour where somebody could walk away with them. So honestly, there's really no super rush.
Okay.
The Path-Slate Hill is the second one. So a few meetings ago, we discussed, so the Eagle Scouts started the path on the segregated side.
Yeah.
And we voted that I could get some additional, I got a quote from Piedmont Design, and they supported the Eagle Scout work. So they did the heavy labor, the kind of machine stuff. So I got a quote from him, and it was, let me bring it up. Piedmont Design. No, that's his references. His estimate was it was $83.95. And when I discussed it with him, because there's some concerns about the grading of the path on the segregated side, it would be better to have more dirt on it. And I think it's sort of a, maybe a pride point for the man whose name was attached to it. He agreed to do that piece if we hired him for the rest for free. Okay. So I got a second bid, and obviously probably Steve had an advantage because he agreed to do that for free. But because we wanted to make sure it was competitive and we were being fiscally responsible, I got a second estimate from my landscaper. Well, that sounds very whatever. A person that I have used in the past for projects and I trust. And his estimate was $11,764.80.
Whoa.
So what I would like to propose to do, if people are amenable, is to make a motion to send this to the Community Foundation for the 8,300 and see if we can get this going so that we could have it done by the ghost tour in October, which seems so far away right now, but with weather and landscape businesses being so busy, is probably not that far away. So discussion, thoughts, motions.
So I haven't been over to the cemetery to see what was done. So what was done?
Well, a path was put in.
And 4 trees came down.
And
The trees were a separate issue. So there is a, it's not super wide because we also were asked to use our ground penetrating radar map and try to avoid bodies, or, going over bodies or where we think there's bodies. So it's about like, I don't know, this wide, and there's kind of edging on it, and then there's rocks in there. So I think it makes for, one, a safer pathway through because that ground is incredibly uneven. And I think Joe also said, well, maybe more people walking through would actually walk on the path and not trump all over the place. And not that I don't support trumping all over the place if you're interested in our cemetery, but I would say that the edging on the ends isn't even with the earth the way I would like it to be, but it was a job we paid nothing for.
And so what are you talking about the developer wanting to do for free over there?
He will edge out. So what was already done, he will edge it out. So he will kind of he will grade it.
Fill in.
Yeah, he'll fill it in.
Right now it feels a little trippy.
So you don't
Just a little trip.
No, like edges.
Sides.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a trip has it on the side. A lip.
You have a lift on each side,
Yeah,
and I think it could be a trip hazard.
yeah.
Okay, so he's going to even that
Yeah.
out.
He's going to grade that, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit more even. And then he will take the path all the way across the Quaker side.
And then the lawnmower can go along the edge of the edging
Mhm.
instead of, so when they mow.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the Quaker side is not amenable for another eagle?
I've caught eagle.
So here's the concerns. One, navigating the Eagle Scout project took up way too much of my life for months. And we still have a problem with the evenness. So I think at this point, we got a $4,000 job done for free. We could invest in the other half of it.
Okay,
It
fair enough,
was-
fair enough.
They picked that side also because it was shorter. It's actually a pretty big job.
Yeah, what's the schedule? When will that be done?
We have to vote on it, approve it. Community Foundation has to approve it, and then I can execute a contract with the landscaper, and then he will give me a timeline. I will say he was very great to work with, very considerate, really nice man.
Talking midsummer or are you,
I don't know. I'd have to see how far he's booked out.
okay,
I mean, it's probably like a 3-day job or something,
Yeah.
is my guess.
okay.
But he really worked with us. Jim Majewski helped and kind of navigated the red dots,
The red dots.
going around the red dots. So if people are amenable, I will take a motion.
Wait a minute, somebody else has to make the motion, not the chair, right?
Right.
I can only,
Opening up.
I said I'll take a motion.
I motion to bring
Okay,
it to a vote. Is that what you're?
yes.
that was-
So a motion to vote to send this to Community Foundation for the Slate Hill Other Side Path.
I motion.
Second,
I second.
Dave seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Hey, unanimous. Thank you. I think this is going to be really great. Oops, that was my minutes. All right. I don't think you have any updates on the Historic Resource Survey, Monica.
No, and I tried to double check when we're supposed to hear. I think they're expecting like April 1st is when they're thinking the first funds are going to be made available. So people should be notified by then, but it wasn't a hard date. But yeah, the boss is here soon seems to be the answer.
You can hear me when you go to make
Thank
your
you.
minutes. So we are sending our recommendations to the big commission next week. So you should hear in the next probably 2 to 3 weeks about final decisions. Or if you're so inclined to check with the PHMC commission and what they're doing, listen into their meeting, you'll know right away. So, yeah.
Thank you, Megan.
So for the record, that put that in as Megan, verifying that McNish, McNish.
Just say what?
That we will hear, she verified,
For
what
3
we
weeks.
said, we're probably going to hear in a couple of weeks. Perfect. Okay, and I did verify we don't need a township RFP. Monica just said that before. Megan verified we don't need a state RFP, so once we find out we're getting the money, if we're getting the money.
Slower than 18,000. It's slower than 18,000 or whatever the cutoff is for, you have to have 3 bids.
It's a whole whatever, but we don't have to do that. We can have Jeff put his proposal in. All right. This new thing is exciting. Historic marker nomination, Monica.
Yes, so we are working towards applying for the opportunity to apply for a historic marker beside the location of the octagonal schoolhouse on the big intersection of roads. I don't know the names, Yardley, some big
Oxford Valley.
Oxford
Valley.
the Coles
and
intersection.
something Way, Roger, whatever.
So the initial applications due April 1st. It's really simple. We have, I think, more than enough. We're pretty much ready for our second application. Cathy and I met with Jeff Marshall and went over some ideas. Cathy spent the day at Mercer Museum the other day getting a lot of stuff. So anyways, we have a lot of information. Looks like we are going to claim it as the first octagonal in.
Oh, it is. It's the first octagonal schoolhouse.
Yeah, we're gonna, we actually got Craig's full thesis was at Mercer.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna read that and run it by Jeff, but it does seem like it was the first octagonal schoolhouse in the United States. So we just want to have some there when she sends it in.
And it was a meeting place for.
We
That
can't-
we're having a hard
can't
time.
Substantiate it.
We're having
There's
a
other
hard time doing that.
schoolhouses. It
But
doesn't say.
It doesn't say
octagonal.
octagonal. It says schoolhouse.
If you can show me an ad that says octagonal, we will look at it. We
That'd be
really
amazing.
Wanted to make that work. But
That's why I added that to you about it being the Newtown Road, because Big Oak at that time, the lake wasn't there, so Big Oak went straight through to
Mhm.
Newtown. So anybody from the southern end of the township would not come up to Langhorne Road. They would go all right away from Big Oak down Big Oak. So it makes sense. And the people who are in that ad, like Lloyd.
the names match. We can't, we haven't been able to find something to substantiate it. If you have more to substantiate it, send it. I went through like the anti-slavery stuff. I went through the newspaper, like I did do a deep dive.
His name is Benjamin Lloyd, so when you look it up, you get William Lloyd Garrison
Mm.
immediately, and it's really hard to.
No, the Bucks County anti-slavery movement kind of started in that area, and I was looking at agendas of meetings and
Yeah.
like I was really,
In one of those ads was William Lloyd, and that is a resident, second from Dollington Road, at the top of the Lindenhurst, so
Okay.
that's where he lived.
we just need to source that. But regardless of whether we can source that or not, and if we can source it, we will.
That'd be awesome. Mhm.
We will do it. It is the first octagonal schoolhouse in the country, and that is also worthy of a sign in our opinions. And it's Moses Moon, okay?
So I've made an internal deadline of March 20th as the stopping of our research for this application. And so any additional information we have, let's get it by March 20th. And what we have by then is what I will put in for April 1st. And I think we have enough, even if we leave out the abolitionist stuff, to get approved. And then, okay, awesome. So just get before the 20th. Cool.
Okay,
So it's going well.
great. Mr. Marker, America 250. Oh, so the thing that Colin said is that he's going to follow up with you about the schools that he's been negligent.
Yeah, that's good.
So Helen, Monica, report on America 250 activities.
Do you want me to talk time capsule first, or you want to go? Okay. So time capsule, we have a flyer. We agreed the time capsule submission that is open to students K through 12 that reside in Lower Makefield Township. We're trying to get the word out to all the schools in the area. If anyone has any contacts specifically at like private schools or specialty schools, please let me know, because yeah, exactly. So I have a list of what's gone out so far. I'm having a really hard time getting contact at Pennsbury High School. So, and Colin hopefully can help me with that, but I know he's got a lot going on. But if anyone has a contact at Pennsbury High School, because I'm just not getting through. Yeah, we're gonna post everything on, and I need to. That's like, we're deep in it. Basically, it's open right now. So I need to get them on Facebook pages. Jim has it to post on Lower Makefield Township stuff, the official LMT stuff. So that's happening, and I have it set up as a Google Doc that people. It's a QR code on the flyer as well as a website, and they can just go in and fill it out. and I have that they need to include the dimensions, and I've said the dimensions need to fit within the cylinder, which I have. And that we'd like a picture of it, and I think I said like a 250 word essay, reason on 250 or less on why we think it should be included. And I've timed it out so that ideally, so that we have them in time to review any realistic submissions here and vote on them, and then have time to present them at a supervisors meeting before Memorial Day, which is the chosen day for the burial. I'm in touch with Public Works. They're good to dig the hole for us. I need to get details for them on where and how deep. I'm assuming we're just going to use the radar map and cross our fingers. But I do need to talk to Joe, because I do think we got additional information with the cylinder on burial procedures, like what's the best like depth, and if there's anything we need to put it inside of. So I need to check with Joe on that. But Public Works is standing by. And depending on how deep it is, we'll see if we want help filling it in, or if that's something we want to do with shovels. That could be cool. I don't really know. So a few specifics we need to deal with. One thing Tom and I were talking about is marking it. Do we want to physically mark it in the cemetery that there's a time capsule here? And I think there's reasons for both. I vote yes. I love it, but we can do whatever we decide.
I think it would be a great QR code addition because we want it, I think, marked. So if people, are doing any ground penetrating stuff in the future, but also it'd be a great QR code for people to kind of be like, ooh, I mean, it's kind of a fun story.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm open to other markings, but I think
Publicity that you generate and pictures that you take for where it's buried and when it's buried will hopefully last a long time, whatever form it is, and 50 years from now. But that would be really awesome.
My main concern with the marker is just something that will survive 50 years, because the QR code, our current QR code setup won't, but we could put a QR code on anything. So I do think it needs to be more established, like the way you put in a mailbox or something, rather than something just stuck in the ground.
Well,
But I don't know what that means. Tom does.
I think it needs to be marked, but I think it also needs to be secured. And so I think we can do that with a concrete slab on top of it, and maybe even a little bronze plaque as to saying what it is, just to make it a little more difficult for somebody to monkey with it.
Right. That's the Tom's concern with marking it was, will someone dig it up? Maybe have at it, I guess. But I like that idea. Then we just need to think about how we pay for that, because none of this stuff's free. If we get into a plaque and
Yeah, I don't think the plaque would be too expensive.
I'll donate a bag of cement.
I can go to the.
I don't want to know why you have cement at your
found it in the back. Yeah,
I'll talk to my Uncle Nunzio.
Yes, I would love, Tom, if you can back us up on the logistics of the marker.
Yeah.
Figuring that out would
Yeah, I'd
be
be happy to
awesome.
do
Then we could put a QR code next to it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that solves that problem.
Yeah.
I'll talk to the guy that does the QR codes for us about a bronze. It doesn't have to be very big.
Yeah,
Just be like that.
I love that.
And then we just make sure that the publicity gets out and we get and maybe invite all the politicos. Some of them will come.
I do think we need to figure out a way to communicate with the township to get information on this put somewhere that
Website.
it still exists. No, in the future. So people, what did we say? What is it? 50 years? What is I forget. I don't have it in front of me.
I think it's 50.
So that people in 50 years know they're supposed to dig it up. I don't know how that works. So,
Oh, look at me.
I mean, I might be here, but I likely am not going to remember.
Well,
So.
I won't, but you might, yeah.
So also,
I'm the plan. I don't think
Put that on the, you could put that on the marker.
Yeah.
When it's supposed to be opened up.
perfect. That's a great idea.
Stick, like one of those fiberglass sticks that just has a thing not to be opened until.
Yeah, I think that could be put on the plaque, open in whatever 50 years from now is.
Okay. I love it.
The one thing about inviting people and having events.
Yeah, the event is also needs to
All
be
day,
figured out.
like,
We'll just say we're doing it at a certain time. I think a lot of people would show up.
Want to get ice cream again?
No,
Well, we can. It's just money again.
and we don't have that kind of a budget. We could I could probably dig into our budget for the bronze plate, or, we can figure that out, but ice cream truck again, no.
bronze plate.
Well, or here's what he said,
I'm sorry.
marker.
Okay.
Were you not listening?
Yeah, Mark, but I
Busy
didn't
writing.
think bonds. I just thought like,
Well, it needs to be capped,
okay,
and you're going to just have a little,
I'm just, somebody
Hundreds.
might steal that. That's,
no, well, I think we could make the cap
Theft in the cemetery is not a big problem. I mean, she's had that
deep
whole
enough
big
and heavy
container
enough
there
that it will deter.
that occasionally I've walked through and taken out.
I think we've spent enough time on this. I delegate Tom, because we still have time on this. The submissions is what's happening right now, but maybe next month Tom can come with a suggestion for us on how to make this work. Would that
Let's,
be okay?
yeah, no, absolutely. I'll talk to my engraver person, but let's come up with what we want to say on it.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. But I
That'll
think
make-
just the logistics of if you're talking about a concrete slab, a thing, a marker, like what are all those things?
That's-
Don't worry about that. I'll take care of that.
oh, yes,
Thank you.
Okay,
Awesome.
glad you're back.
he's back.
Woohoo. Anything else on 250 is
No,
right now? Okay. You said no?
yeah, not right now.
Okay, cool. Slate Hill, I don't really think there's any other.
Oh, I got stuff to talk about.
Oh, girl has stuff to talk
Yeah,
about.
I'll
Okay.
go quick though. First, I got so the team. I don't know if you guys remember the homeschool collective high school group that came a year or two ago and helped out. They are looking to come back the morning of March 27th. When I was like, I don't know, I have to look through, but I'm sure there's just basic cleanup that could be done with like the leaves and stuff. So I'm gonna say sure. Tarps and rakes have at it. So if that's okay with everyone, because they were great. I'd love to have them back. And I believe we've got one of those students applying to volunteer or something, right? Either way,
No,
but
they-
like
they're-
they're
they
involved
all
and
need
interested.
Hours from the high school. Right.
That was really good.
They were really interested. Yeah.
They were both interested and did good work.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a scout too that wants an eagle.
Well, that's the problem because like I have like 2 hours of lawn work for kids to do, but a big project again. I don't know.
Oh, he's, first of all, he's 6'3". I walked in, I was like, whoa, huge person. But he's got tons of friends and they would do a full cleanup of the cemetery, both sections.
Mhm.
And he will leave a pile for Public Works to pick up, but he will.
So what I would
wants to
say
do
is
it, but
that
it's not-
with the future with Eagle Scout projects, they can propose a project
Yeah.
in writing to us and
Yeah.
we can evaluate it.
Okay, well, what he's,
Because we don't really need another cleanup. I mean, we've been doing such a great job the last few years.
Mhm.
I had mentioned that around the locust trees that there were poison ivy and that we could take the tiger lilies invasive species out. And he said, I'd be happy to do that. And then anything in the segregated section that needs to be removed. He wants to do plant removal
Okay.
in the
I
cemetery.
would say
Yeah, if you-
get a written
mhm.
proposal and you would be the liaison
Yes, I'll
with
do
the
it.
Eagle Scouts
Yep,
because
no problem.
boy, talk about a bureaucracy.
I know that well, that's what turns 18 in the 1st of June. So that's what I said I would do for him.
So quick, I just want to, my brain is thinking about summer camp for my children, which at the same time tells me I need to start thinking ghost tour. And so, because summer's close and summer's when we really need to get rocking on it. I'm currently proposing October 17th as the date, but I think we've learned, I'm going to wait till the Eagle schedule comes out in May to finalize that. But that's what we're looking at. If anyone has any disagreements, I also checked the Jewish calendar. We're fine there this year.
What date was it?
October 17th, with the rain date, the 18th is my goal, but we'll hold on until May for that. I would like to, and I've had conversations, would like to try and focus the ghost tour as much towards the Revolutionary era this year as possible because of 250. I realize 250 isn't just about the Revolution, but we have a handful of really interesting stories and numerous people that are buried that we know of that have markers that were alive during the Revolution that I think we might be able to do a little more research on them. So I have a bunch of names. I don't know if we need to go through all of that. If you're interested, come ask me. But what we're really going to need is help researching stories. I know Liz is on board.
Well, she's not as on board, but we'll figure that out. I have her on another.
I'll fight her.
Greater
What
needs.
if my-
Research some of our residents and see if what stories we could get
Maybe have-
out of them. Ashley's still on board, and I know we have a note of Dawn, having done John Brown, is on our notes. I don't know if we can still harass her, but whatever, I'll deal with that separately.
If it's before the grandchildren, we have a chance of Dawn doing it.
Right. Okay.
New grandchildren.
Yeah, which we have a few months, right?
I think so.
But I would also say, we've had other members in the community in the past that just love research help. So if any of you know anyone that loves doing this kind of thing, because it's really helpful if you can do 1 or 2. Like once someone's doing 4 or 5, it's a lot to ask of anyone. So please just keep that in mind as you talk to people or know anyone that would enjoy doing this. And yeah, that's that. I could talk a lot more.
Are we going to do Peter Van Sant or not?
We could. He's on the list, the Van Sants, because I think we've learned we can get flexible with not saying this person's buried here, but family's buried here, like we did with Joshua Anderson and stuff. So, and a couple of my stories are very much my relatives here, what have you, but they're a really interesting story that we can pull in and talk, yes, about that person, but also about their experience at that time. Yeah, come on up.
Ooh, we have public comment. You have to come up. You got to say your name.
Yeah,
and
you have to
speak
talk
in
on the
I
microphone.
know.
Megan knows.
Push the button.
Push the button
So
so the
it's-
screen. Yep, there you go.
My name is Liz Ilgen, and I am actually doing Joshua Van Zant Senior right now.
Okay.
So I've gone back to great grandpa, and so I have a lot of stuff on Peter already.
Peter Van Sant?
Mhm.
Oh, because you're doing Joshua.
She's been doing
QR
the
code,
codes
mhm.
for me.
Still Van Sant?
Yeah, he's in there too.
Still she, please.
I think one of my questions also is going to be how we utilize how we highlight the segregated section, considering we don't have a lot of Revolutionary era stories there. And again, they don't have to be, but I think it would be cool to have a cohesive theme. So I've also reached out to multiple contingents of the Dairy family that I know has been here for the longest to see, how far back we can go with stories. So anyway, any ideas anyone else has? I know you have Fanny in here, and she was born 1775, so she just makes it. So, we have some options.
Donna Joan went up to the Gilead Mission Church in Buckingham
Mhm.
and met a woman there who grew up in the house on Mirror Lakes Road. She's an African-American woman.
Mhm.
She lived in that house with no plumbing before they tore it down, and she was really interested in what we were doing in Lower Makefield. So
Oh, good. Thanks.
I'll ask Donna to give you a call.
Okay, that'd be great.
That'd be great. Yeah, I mean, I think Liz has done some work on Fanny. I mean, with the Lime houses, it's a little sticky, but we can figure out enough to make a story.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's a pain in the butt.
Just
Dawn
sit.
used to
Just
just
take
sit
a
there.
seat. Yeah.
Yeah, some of that stuff I actually put into that story,
Mhm.
and I have some other notes and stuff too that I can share.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Any ideas you have, even if you're not
So-
officially on this,
On the name
give me a
of
heads up.
the Rector House.
those
Okay.
names don't mean anything to you, Helen.
Is it my imagination or was there some connection to the Doan Outlaws? Lower Makefield?
She thought it's related to the Known Outlaws.
I don't think we have.
It-
I think I might have found a Doan baby buried, but we don't have any stones that are Doans.
Tomlinson's are Dones.
But I have to look at the list of the add-ons because I'm constantly looking for
Yeah,
to figure out, put names to the red dots.
yeah,
I mean, unfortunately, mostly what I'm finding is stillborns and very young children.
yeah, that's.
Right. Well, yeah.
I mean,
But if
yes,
the baby's there, they're really
But the
alone.
Rector House goes again to John Brown, because that was probably the long house
Mhm,
that they went to, yes, in the diary.
mhm. Okay. Anything?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
Shut me up.
We don't need to shut chat, but yeah, it's great. Yeah, maybe we can have a little committee meeting of the Slate Hill people. researchers. Okay, cool. Archiving project. Okay, so this is why Liz is going to be less available for research because
Thank you. Thank you.
Evolving on her.
well, she's got great organizational skills that I can't just waste that on research. I can do research. So I just want to name that big black file cabinet back there that when we started looked like somebody's grandma's basement of all their old bills. Now is all in folders by topic, organized, and each individual thing in the folder
Specified.
has a number on it.
All right.
And that was like a year's worth of work for Dawn and our volunteers, Dom and Jack. So the next step, and I have approval for this, is we're going to purchase Past Perfect, which is a database. And Liz is going to take over how we get the information in the database because she's got background that is good with that. And I really can't manage another project. And our eventual goal, once we get it in, is we will make it public facing. That's probably another year.
But that's great.
Honestly, when we started research on the Octagonal Schoolhouse, I went and there was a folder and it said Octagonal Schoolhouse. And I was able to bring it over to Monica and it had lots of really good information
It was
in there.
amazing. It was well done.
So just the organizational stuff that we owe Dawn a great gratitude for has been really amazing. And she helped Joe a lot with the research too. So I just want to name that, and that Liz very nicely agreed to do it. And I had to say, deprioritize QR codes and research because I want to get that going. And Dom is chomping at the bit to start entering data.
Thank you, Liz.
All right. Any other discussion items? Anybody else have anything else they want to bring up? All right. No additional public comment from Liz or Megan. Our next meeting is April 8th at 7:30. So do we have a motion to adjourn? Oh my God, it's so early.
I have a quick question. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Are there any official openings on the board right now? Or on the commission, excuse me?
We have 3 alternate positions open. We
3.
no longer have any alternates.
So we need alternates, ideally.
Ideally.
Okay. I got some irons in the fire. Okay.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn then.
So Tom makes a motion to adjourn. Second,
I second that.
Dave seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. It is 8:38.
Mark it down.
Yep. Look at the video.
I should have done that last time. I don't remember why I didn't.